My name's Kevin Till, and I'd like to just say a big welcome, a big thank you to everyone for coming to our long-term athletic development in schools conference. This is the first time we've held an event in relation to this area, and I'm just sort of really pleased with the turnout, how many people have made the effort to come, and hopefully it's a brilliant day of sort of sharing, learning, discussing different topics in relation to this space. So yeah, we're really excited in relation to that. I'd like to say a big sort of welcome to Leeds Beckett University and the Carnegie School of Sport. Obviously we're really privileged now to have this amazing building. Hopefully you all get the chance today to have a look round of the building and what we've got to offer here as well. So this is part of that, is hosting events like this, being able to share the work that we do, and welcoming people and working with externals in relation to that work as well. So like I said, really excited in relation to that. So I'm going to sort of kick off the conference for the first 20 minutes or so, and really just try and, I guess, provide a bit of background in relation to this, and a background in relation, a little bit about myself, a little bit around Leeds Beckett and the Carnegie School of Sport, and then really around the practices and challenges of long-term athletic development in a school's perspective, and I guess in a general athlete perspective as well. So that's the aim, and then obviously we've got, I'll sort of go through the programme towards the end of my talk. I just provide a little bit of a quick introduction to myself, because I know that many in the room probably don't know myself, and I look forward to meeting you throughout the day. And hopefully this quick introduction is there to, again, provide a bit of a background and a story in relation to probably where we are now as a school in relation to this area of work. So probably like most people in the room, sport was a big passion of mine growing up. Played lots of different sports, was a young rugby player, that was probably my main focus. But again, maybe like many, I was a failed rugby player, never went on to achieve my dreams. Played a little bit of semi-professional at Gateshead, rugby league, and really never achieved. Now, I know speaking to a lot of people that go into coaching and teaching and things, that's probably a similar story where they go. But really, sport's always been a big passion of mine, and alongside that, education has been really key in relation to that as well. I'm lucky enough to study an undergrad, masters, and a PhD at Leeds Beckett, and then I've sort of progressed through over the years to now hold a very privileged position of professor in the School of Sport, something that I'm proud and, like I say, very privileged to hold. So that's a quick life story in relation to me. But in relation to that, Leeds Beckett, as I mentioned, I started my studies here in 2002, and now I've been at the university 21 years as a student, progressing through and as a member of staff. So this place is sort of, like special to me. It means a lot, and it's provided lots of great opportunities for me along the way, both from a sporting and a academic and career perspective. And I think that's sort of what this idea around schools is about, is how we support people from a sporting and educational perspective. Alongside that education, and since finishing playing rugby, I've also been involved as a coach, mainly as an S&C coach. I'm mainly working within that talented athlete space. So I'm still a coach now, an S&C coach down at Leeds Rhinos with their under-16 scholarship programme. And I've worked in a range of, range of different sports, but primarily rugby over that time. And I guess my focus, especially during my PhD and early in my career, was around the talented athlete. Okay, it was around the athlete and how we support those to develop in their careers. But I've now also got two young children, and you can see that my daughter takes after me in the dancing skills. But I think having children makes a bit of changes your perspective on life a little bit, okay? And where my focus had been on supporting talented athletes, I think when you have your kids, you realise that there's a big world out there, and how do we support everyone to make sure they get the opportunities and the things that you got. And it's not just around those talented athletes, it's around how we support the masses from a participation perspective as well. So that's just a little bit around, I guess, my background in relation to this, and hopefully that'll feed through in terms of how we support that and how we can support everyone within a school environment to succeed and develop and be better. In relation to the university, our, I guess, philosophy and vision and mission as a school of sport is around how we make a difference in and through sport. So how can sport make that difference? And our purpose is around how can we collectively and purposefully, driven by a focus on making a positive and decisive difference to people, communities and organisations. And that's really, again, forefront of the work that we do in relation to how can we work with external people to support them, how do we support the students that we have within our group, and how do we support the communities and organisations to do that as well. And ultimately, it's around we know sport can make a big difference, and we're here to do that. In terms of building on that idea and that philosophy, I guess we work around this principle that we have practice. Okay, now, this is a traditional view of academic, is that we have practice on one side and we have research and academia on the other. And traditionally that's how higher education has been seen, a little bit separate. But really here we're looking at how we can bridge that gap between research and practice, okay, to really support both ends of that. And again, that comes back down to our mission, of our purpose around how we ensure we use our knowledge and resources to make a positive and decisive difference to people, communities and organisations. So we're really looking at how we bridge that gap, how we can work as an academic institution with people on the ground in relation to solving the problems that they may face. And there's two probably things that do that, again, our opinion is that without data, you're just a person with an opinion, so we need to use data to inform the things that we do, that you do, and how do you use data to do that. But we also acknowledge that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Okay? And these two things, I guess, ways of thinking are quite important in terms of being able to bridge that gap between how do we use data effectively to support the decisions, but not that all data is, there's things that sometimes can't be counted as well. So that's our, I guess, ways of working in relation to this. So from a school's perspective, that way of working is how, I guess, we've developed over probably the past decade in relation to that. So we've had a long-standing relationship with Queen Ethelburgers Collegiate and Rob Rawlinson at Queen Ethelburgers, and that's been going on since 2013. And in terms of that programme, we support the delivery of their sports science and athletic development programmes in terms of supporting the school's high performance sport programme. So that's happened for the last 10 years, and we've had a variety of different models in relation to how that has been delivered, but mainly it's been delivered by a PhD programme where we have coaches that are delivering the S&C and athletic development work for the students, okay, alongside undertaking a PhD. So these are just some of the people that have come through that process over the last decade in relation to delivering that programme and then going on in terms of their PhD, and now many of them are staff within the institution here as well. And it's looking at how, back to that previous slide that showed, of how we can combine that research and combine the coaching and applied, okay, to hopefully bridge that gap to enhance the programme as much as possible. Okay, and that is then supported by our academics here and some of the support that we provide. So this work where we've got today has really been going on for the last 10 years at Queen Ethelburgers, and recently that's developed further with other schools coming on board. So you'll see from the advertisement that sort of partnership has developed recently with now partnerships with Millfield and Grammar School of Leeds. Okay, so as I mentioned, so at Queen Ethelburgers, we've got Fiona and Alan delivering projects in there. At Millfield, we've got Lane, who's working in relation to understanding athleticism. And at Grammar School of Leeds, we've got Sam, who's looking at primary PE curriculum reform, and Kev Shattuck, who's a Prof student looking at biopsychosocial development. Okay, so it's this idea of how we work with the school through Rob, Graham and Lorcan, and embedding these people and research into that environment. So these are formal partnerships in relation to that. Alongside that, we've also got a number of professional doctorate students that work at other schools. So we've got Mark here, who's part of the round table, Josh, who's presenting today, James at Culford School, who's also presenting today, and a couple of others, Johnny and Rob, who are professional doctorate students in the UK. So again, supporting schools in a slightly different way, but using research in relation to their roles to support that. And then I guess we also other work where we may not have a direct partnership, but we've got Tom doing work in schools on injury prevention. We've got Marisa doing stuff who's actually based in Trinidad and Tobago and multi-competence in there. We've done some work with Joey Eiserman, who's a physics professor here, who was based at IMG and just recently left. Me specifically work with Andy Bruce in terms of supporting UPSC, SCA, Schools Special Interest Group, and then other work through I Coach Kids in relation to how we support young people that may be related to this. So I think when we look at the body of work that's currently ongoing, that's probably part of the reason, is to share that in relation to the conference today. And the range of topics that are covered on there as well, from primary PE curriculum through to supporting high performance athletes within schools, again shows the breadth of the work and the areas we're trying to develop. So that takes us on to, I guess, what is long-term athletic development and why have we used that term in relation to the conference. And again, that's probably something that will get discussed throughout the day, but I think it's important we set the scene. Okay? I normally start most of my presentations with this slide, which is a quote from the International Olympic Committee's consensus statement on youth athletic development, where they say it's around the goal is clear, to develop healthy, capable and resilient young athletes while attaining widespread, inclusive, sustainable and enjoyable participation and success for all levels of individual athletic achievement. So again, the idea around how do we support young athletes to get better and develop as athletes, but how also do we support each and every individual, each and every young person to achieve their participation in sport. So it's very much around supporting this continuum from participation to performance, which again has been wrote about by others as well, such as Roger Lloyd and the guys at Cardiff. And it's quite important to probably use their definitions in relation to what is long-term athletic development. So Roger Lloyd, back in their paper 2016, defined it as the habitual development of athleticism over time to improve health and fitness, enhance physical performance, reduce the risk of injury, and then develop the confidence and competence of all youth. Okay, and that all youth is important because those things are, I guess, regardless of whether you're an athlete or a participant, are things that we're trying to achieve. So that idea around the breadth. If we look at the definition of athleticism, it's the ability to repeatedly perform a range of movements with precision and confidence in a variety of environments which require competent levels of motor skill, strength, power, speed, agility, balance, coordination and endurance. Okay? So how can we develop athleticism in terms of broad concept to support some of those longer term things in relation to health, fitness, physical performance, etc. So that's probably where my perception of long-term athletic development is. But again, that's something that I'm sure is going to be discussed throughout the day around whether it's sits within this area correct. So we did a little bit of research as well in relation to this. This was a bit of a COVID project when we went into lockdown, and I guess myself and others, we want to investigate the knowledge, adherence, practices and challenges of practitioners who were associated with implementing long-term athletic development. And we undertook a survey in relation to that to really understand these things. So I'm just going to go through a few of these results, and again, I think it sets it up quite nicely. So we first asked people what they felt their responsibility for those 4 areas identified in that definition of long-term athletic development. And we can see from the answers in red there that out of the 250 plus people that completed the survey, that over 90% of them felt they had a responsibility for developing confidence and competence in movement, reducing injury, physical performance, and health and fitness. So practitioners on the ground recognise their responsibility for those things. We then asked practitioners to define athleticism, and we then made a comparison against the definition provided by Lloyd and colleagues. And we broke that down into 4 areas. So red, so movement, physical qualities, the ones in purple, psychological component to that, and the idea of multiple environments. And what was interesting, that actually people weren't able to define athleticism that well in relation to these areas. So this shows that when their answers were compared, that 30% of people only identified one of those criteria, just over 50% identified 2, 15% identified 3 of them, and just over 3% were able to identify all 4. And when we look across those 4 domains, okay, we can see that movement was the one that was identified most, at around 73%, followed by physical qualities. Psychological qualities only identified by about 2 to 3%, and multiple environments identified by approximately 35% of people. So this idea of athleticism really shows that we probably need to broaden this understanding and awareness to make sure that this is being developed, and that it's not just around physical development, but it is a multi-dimensional concept. And that's something Wayne will discuss later today. We also then asked practitioners to provide their perspectives on what are their practices and what are the challenges that they face towards implementing long-term athletic development. And we identified 5 themes, 2 main themes. So one's the goals, which include Eats for Life, and that it's an individual-centered journey, and the realities of developing long-term athletic development, broken down by program variety is key, monitoring is important, but there's a range of challenges. So I'd just like to go through that in a little bit more detail. So practitioners identified that this is our duty. We've got a responsibility for developing and improving health and fitness, well-being, movement and psychological development, and reducing injury. To therefore achieve these long-term outcomes of being physically active for life, having enhanced health and well-being, and providing opportunities for young people to go into recreational and competitive sport. At the heart of that, in terms of that journey, is this idea that health and well-being and the individual are central tenets. Okay, so they're the main things that we need to focus on. And to achieve that, programs need to be fun and enjoyable, developmental, so there's an improvement aspect of that, and undertaken in a safe and caring environment. Okay, so this is what some of the qualitative data showed in relation to that, in terms of these things being important when we've got that down. There was then a number of areas where we can implement this. This can be done in play from young people, can be done in physical education, through after-school clubs and sport, and then in community sport. So they're the environments that this can be taken. And in those environments, there needs to be this idea that there's a multi-sport and multi-activity focus. There's a focus upon physical development. Assessment and monitoring are important. Movement is key within that. Okay, educating young people in relation to these domains is important, and there needs to be an element of individualisation. So in relation to that, I don't think there's nothing groundbreaking. It's things that we're definitely all aware of. Okay, but we know that there's some challenges that exist. And for me, the next things I'm going to show are what came out as the challenges that practitioners face in relation to allowing these things to develop and be implemented. So there was 8 challenges that were identified. Firstly was the governance of sport, the governance within schools and the priorities that practitioners and others place on the value of youth sport and the focus on youth sport. Okay? And that sometimes that may not be best placed to allow this individual and long-term journey. There was challenges around the resources that are available to do that. Obviously, time and equipment and space is probably a key one within, especially within schools. The education, the skills and the knowledge of practitioners on the ground is a key challenge, and how can we upskill people and educate people to be able to develop this. The motivation of young people these days to undertake it is a further challenge. Stakeholder communication within environments, further, is one there. Early sport specialisation and more focus being placed on how young people specialising earlier, probably again back to some of the ideas around education and skills and knowledge and the governance of sport now. High training volumes and injury, and lastly parents. Okay, so these are some of the areas that were identified as challenges, and hopefully through what I've sort of presented over the last 15 minutes, hopefully takes us through a little bit of a journey of how we've got to where we are today in this room, to say why we're putting on this event, and hopefully explains, I guess, the programme that we're showing as well. I actually went back to the paper that I probably wrote a couple of years ago and went back to the discussion to look at what I wrote in terms of preparing for today. And for me, actually, this really resonated with me in relation to what we were hoping to get out of today. We provided 4 recommendations of what needs to be done moving forward, and we need to be able to translate and disseminate current best knowledge and practice, okay, to allow us to achieve that. We need to be able to embrace the complexities and challenges that are associated with long-term athletic development, and we need to do that collectively. We need to work collectively within research and practice to hopefully deliver solutions to a fitter, healthier and happier youth population. And lastly, we need to develop a research strategy for supporting long-term athletic development and overcoming those challenges that we face. So as I said, hopefully this event today meets some of those recommendations and starts further discussion and collaboration in how we can sort of overcome these things collectively as well. So that takes us to today, and hopefully within the conference schedule that we've pulled together, is we'll see a number of those challenges that are going to be discussed and presented, and hopefully we've got a really exciting programme that will be lots to learn and lots to think about moving forward. So up until lunchtime, we will be just in this room. So Larkin and Kev from Grammar School Leeds will be presenting next, and then we're going to have a roundtable discussion with some directors or head of PE from a range of schools. Lunch will be followed by 2 breakouts where we've sort of split that into motor competence and PE, which will be in this room, and athlete development, which will be in the room next door. So I think in relation to the sessions you'd like to join. We've then got a keynote from Professor Sergio Lavabercial that's led a lot of that's done and led the iCoach Kids project. And then we're splitting out to some further breakouts this afternoon. And then finally finishing with a session from Theon in relation to holistic impact evaluation within the school environment. So hopefully lots to learn, lots of exciting topics ahead. Lunch will be served at the sort of the back of the building, and probably what I should have mentioned at the beginning is no planned fire alarms. So if there is, then there's fire exits at the corners of the rooms. The last thing from me is I'd just like to say a big thank you. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone for making the time to attend today. I'd like to say a big thank you to all the speakers that are going to contribute to the day. Our partner schools in Queen Ethelburgers, Millfield and Grammar School of Leeds. Output, Perform Better and Alico have kindly sponsored the event, and they're out in the foyer as well. And then lastly, a big thank you to Theon, who's putting a large amount of work in terms of organising this event as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.